Today on Rewind, a closer look. We're diving back into Michael Ironside's library.
It's about goddamn time.
With 1994's Forced to Kill, a low-budget PM entertainment action movie somehow manages to combine underground bare-knuckle fighting, a corrupt cop, and Clint Howard all into one movie. The movie starts off feeling like a simple action thriller, but slowly turns into a total backwoods insanity filled with cattle prods, road dragging, underground fight tournaments, and some gloriously over-the-top stunt work. So let's see if this forgotten PM action movie is a hidden VHS gem or just another excuse to blow up a bunch of vehicles. And hell yeah, PM Entertainment. Nothing gets me more excited than seeing that logo, well, other than boobs, which I'm sure will show up here at some point too. After some very brief white text on black screen opening credits, we open inside a country bar. People are drinking, dancing, listening to live music. Everybody's having a great time, which of course means something is about to ruin the evening. Outside, some guys on a van are loading up some very large weapons and putting on ski masks. The van pulls up, they tell the driver to meet them around back, and the two robbers storm inside, firing warning shots into the ceiling, telling everyone to get down. The bartender immediately hits a silent alarm. Why does this random country bar have a silent alarm? This isn't a jewelry store. What kind of violent saloon are these people running where that's a required feature? Meanwhile, Michael Ironside is sitting peacefully in a diner, having a smoke, when the robbery call comes across his radio. He looks mildly annoyed, puts out the cigarette, grabs the radio, and responds to the call. That's when we find out he isn't just some deputy, he's Sheriff Wilson. And Sheriff Wilson immediately tells the dispatch that nobody is to enter the bar until he arrives. Okay, sure. Let's hope he doesn't hit traffic or stop for gas on the way there. Ironside gets up and leaves just as the waitress arrives with his food. Honestly, that's probably what annoyed him most about the robbery. Outside, he jumps into his truck, hits the lights, and peels out. Back at the bar, the robbery is still going badly for everyone involved. One robber goes for the cash register, only for the bartender to suddenly pull out a shotgun and blast him. Then the second robber immediately shoots the bartender in return, while some random bar patron jumps him and tackles him to the floor. During the struggle, the robber's ski mask comes off. Ironside finally arrives, grabs a shotgun himself, and heads inside while the robber keeps fighting off random bar patrons like this place turned into a WWE battle royale. The guy loses his gun, gets tackled again, gets back up again, and just keeps punching everyone in sight. Eventually the robber makes a run for the door, and Ironside finally gets a clean shot lined up. He tells the guy not to run, but Buddy ignores him completely and keeps running anyway. And surprisingly, Ironside doesn't shoot him. Instead, he runs outside just in time to see the getaway van speeding away, and immediately everyone jumps in their vehicles and the chase is on. And oh yeah, now this finally feels like a PM Entertainment movie. One of the robbers opens the back doors of the van and starts unloading shots at the cops, causing one cruiser to crash. The van slides around corners while somehow the guy standing in the back doesn't immediately get launched out onto the highway. Physics have officially left the movie.
Physics.
Another cop car doesn't really crash into another vehicle, it just jumps over it somehow. And honestly, that second that happened, I just nodded and went, yup, PM Entertainment. Because once these movies start doing car chases, reality no longer matters.
It doesn't matter.
Eventually, a police helicopter joins pursuit and shines its spotlight directly into the van driver's eyes, temporarily blinding him. The van loses control and crashes in a glorious PM Entertainment fashion with a massive jump, rollover, explosion, and debris flying everywhere. The cops surround the wreck and one robber climbs out, guns blazing, before immediately getting lit up by the police. The second robber crawls out, holding a gun too, and once again, instead of just shooting him, Ironside takes him alive, which honestly feels very generous considering this guy just helped turn half the highway into a demolition derby. As we fade into the title card and the rest of the opening credits play over helicopter establishing shots of Los Angeles, because nothing says gritty underground fight movie quite like random helicopter footage of LA that probably came from another production entirely. As the credits end, we see some leather jacket guy paying for a taxi ride. Before he leaves, he tells the driver not to start the car until he gets a little further down the road. And the driver agrees, but wouldn't the cab already be running? I get cars in the 90s were loud, but he acts like the taxi driver is about to cold start a NASCAR engine outside the house. Anyway, leather jacket guy walks over to a parked Jag.
You have a Jag.
Pulls out some tools and starts breaking in. The lights suddenly come on inside the house, and some guy carrying a baseball bat storms outside to confront him. Good thing that wasn't Edward Norton's car.
Put your fucking mouth on the curb!
Leather jacket guy calmly explains he isn't stealing the car, he's repossessing it. He even hands the owner paperwork proving it. The owner immediately crumples it up and says nobody's taking his car. Eventually, leather jacket guy tells him he would just kick his ass if he didn't have the bat. So naturally, the guy throws the bat away. And now we got ourselves a very brief fight scene. Leather jacket guy absolutely destroys him without even really trying, and finally finishes him off with a trash can to the face.
Garbage day!
Before driving away in the Jag.
What the hell is even that?
The next morning, he pulls up to a woman's house and sneaks inside, surprising her. She calls him Johnny, played by Corey Michael Eubanks. And he is actually way more accomplished than I first realized. Over a 35-plus year career, he worked as a stunt performer, actor, writer, and director, becoming one of those behind-the-scenes action movie legends most people don't even know by name. He got his start after being discovered during a Golden Gloves boxing training, and eventually became one of the youngest stuntmen working on the Dukes of Hazzard, where he performed the iconic General Lee jumps. From there, he went on to work on massive productions like Fast 5, Too Fast, Too Furious, Mission Impossible 2, and Transformers: The Last Night, including performing a record-setting cannon roll stunt with a 42,000-pound prison bus in Fast 5. Alongside stunt work, he also acted in shows like Better Call Saul and SWAT, while directing episodes of Renegade and Silk Stockings. And weirdly enough, he also wrote and directed this movie, which honestly explains why this movie feels so stunt-focused the entire time. So I guess that's our hero. The two clearly seem like a couple. While she cooks breakfast using enough salt to preserve a mummy, the phone rings, and it's a guy named Marty.
Marty! Dad!
He asks Johnny if he got the Jag, and when Johnny says yes, Marty immediately asks him if he wants another job. The bank wants the car delivered to its home office by Friday, and Johnny agrees. This man accepts suspicious road trips way too easy. Later, Johnny comes out of the shower, and his girlfriend says she wishes he could go with him, but has to work. Then she yanks the towel off him, and yeah, there's Johnny's ass. Great. This better not turn into another Speed Demon situation where the movie gets weirdly obsessed with random male nudity.
But look at all the hunky boys.
I do not care for hunky boys. Or do I?
Anyway, Johnny hits the road. He drives all day, grabs a motel for the night, and continues his trip the next morning. A little farther down the road, Johnny stops at a diner for breakfast, and outside we see a homeless guy digging through the dumpster. As Johnny heads inside, Michael Ironside is leaving. He walks over to the bum and, surprise, it's Clint Howard.
Colonel, you better take a look at this radar. What is it, son? I don't know, sir, but it looks like a giant...
Member of law enforcement, Sheriff Wilson asks Clint if he's really a veteran. And when Clint says yes, Ironside hands him some cash and tells him not to spend it on booze before driving away, leaving Clint Howard standing there wondering why they didn't just cast Buck Flower in this role instead.
Just cleaning your window for $1, Holmes. It's awful dirty.
Clint starts crushing cans in the parking lot when some truck almost runs him over. A few guys hop out and immediately start harassing him before roughing him up a little. Johnny walks out of the diner, sees what's happening, and being the good guy that he is, he steps in. And instantly the bullies completely forgot about Clint Howard, just like his father.
Ouch.
Now all three guys focus entirely on Johnny and politely line up one at a time, waiting for their turn to get karate kicked. Not one of these guys even comes close to touching him. Johnny beats all three effortlessly, while some random old local guy from inside the diner just stands there silently watching this karate master perform a flawless victory in the parking lot. Suddenly we cut back to Johnny driving the Jag,
We have a Jag.
and the camera pans over, revealing Clint Howard is now sitting beside him. What? Why? Johnny immediately starts acting like every member of the Howard family and asks where he can drop him off.
Ouch again.
Clint kind of dodges the question and changes the subject. After a bit, they stop for gas, and we see that weird old dude from outside the diner has been following them this whole time. He gets out of his car just as Johnny and Clint leave again, and instead of continuing to follow him, he just sort of stands there watching them drive away. Did he give up or forget what he was doing? Maybe he got distracted. He is pretty old. Eventually he walks over to the payphone and makes a call. Back in the Jag,
We have a Jag.
Johnny again asks Clint where he wants to get dropped off, but before Clint can answer, a massive truck suddenly pulls out in front of them, sending the Jag flying down a hill and crashing into a giant water tank. Johnny stumbles out of the wreck, only for two armed guys from the truck to walk up and grab him. One of them punches Johnny in the stomach, and we finally get a good look at them. It's Don Swayze, another forgotten sibling of someone way more famous. And Mickey Jones.
Hi, I'm Mickey Jones. Now, you may know me from any number of films or TV shows where I've played some pretty bad guys.
That's what I mean, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll let her go, all right.
Look, Mr. Matlock, maybe you should just relax and enjoy yourself.
The two suddenly realize there was another person inside the Jag, so naturally, they just start shooting at the wreck, causing the whole thing to explode. They must have seen Clint Howard's Ice Cream Man movie.
Here you go.
The Ice Cream Man, Clint Howard.
Creamsicle.
The two guys start celebrating the explosion until the car door slowly opens and out crawls Clint Howard, completely on fire, stumbling away from the wreck. That man survives movies like a cockroach survives nuclear war. So Swayze just shoots him, and Clint finally drops. The guys celebrate again, and we find out they are brothers, which honestly is way more believable than Don Swayze somehow being Patrick Swayze's brother. Later that night, Swayze and Jones drive Johnny out to the remote property where they chain him up. Swayze starts bragging that he could totally beat Johnny in a fight, so naturally, the two square up right there, and within seconds, down goes Swayze. Now angry, Swayze pulls a knife and charges him again, only for Johnny to immediately disarm him and knock him on his ass again. Eventually, Jones has to step in, point a shotgun at Johnny to make him drop the knife, which he does. Swayze gets up and sucker punches Johnny because apparently that's the only move that works on this guy. The brothers leave Johnny chained up, while Jones taunts Swayze, saying, "He's tougher than you thought, huh?" Once alone, Johnny tries escaping the chains for a while, before eventually giving up and just sitting there looking annoyed. The next morning, Swayze and Jones are eating breakfast with their father, who turns out to be the creepy old guy that was following Johnny earlier. A young woman named Carrie is serving breakfast while the old man asks if Johnny's head wound needed stitches. Carrie shrugs and immediately gets yelled at for not properly taking care of Johnny's injuries.
Nice family.
After Carrie leaves the room, the men start complaining about her, and we learn she isn't actually the old guy's daughter. She's his niece. Ah, okay. So she probably isn't fully on board with this whole kidnap random karate drifter for underground fight club situation. Inside another building, Carrie goes to check on Johnny while he sleeps, which raises an important question. When did they move him from being chained outside in the dirt to having his own little hostage cabin? The second Carrie touches him, Johnny instantly wakes up, rolls her to the floor, and almost punches her before she explains she's just there to clean his wound. Johnny calms down and eats the food she brought him while she patches him up. and we see that his chains are actually really long and still attached to the post outside. The old man walks in and Carrie says Johnny needed 4 stitches. 4 stitches? Did anybody else even see a single cut on this guy's head? I sure didn't.
I didn't.
The old guy finally explains why Johnny was kidnapped. Apparently he saw Johnny beat up those guys at the diner and realized he would be perfect for some underground fighting tournament happening at the end of the month. Bare knuckle freestyle fighting, punching, kicking, whatever it takes to win. And if Johnny wins, he gets half the prize money and his freedom. Sure, buddy. Totally believable. Johnny asks the old man his name, and we finally learn it's Rance, which, funnily enough, is his real name. And yeah, Rance Howard, father to Ron Howard.
Ron Howard?
Johnny immediately tells Rance he isn't fighting in any tournament, and even if they force him to fight, he'll just lose on purpose. Rance calmly calls in Jones and says Johnny is leaving. And for a brief moment, I actually thought they were serious. We cut to Jones driving his truck, and the camera slowly pans out, revealing Johnny isn't inside the truck. He's chained to the back, being dragged down the road. Oh, honestly, the road dragging stunts rules. One of my favorite stunt gags in these old action movies. Johnny gets dragged around until Jones takes a corner too hard, and Johnny just rolls off into the ditch. Jones stops, unhooks the chain, and then throws it over a tree branch and starts pulling Johnny up against the tree, choking him with the chains. Rance and Swayze show up, and Swayze fires a shot into the tree inches from Johnny's head. He lines up another one before Rance stops him and gives Johnny one last chance to change his mind. Cut to later that night back at the house. Well, I guess he changed his mind. Carrie brings Johnny some food, and he grabs her, telling her to get the keys so the two of them can escape together. Carrie refuses, but you can already tell this movie's heading toward either 1, Carrie helps him escape later, or 2, Carrie dies horribly. Or 3, possibly both. Later they've got Johnny chained to the front of a truck, running laps, while Swayze rides on the hood, zapping him with a cattle prod, yelling encouragement like some deranged version of the Mandelbaum family from Seinfeld.
Really necessary?
If you want to live in a butcher shop, I'm going to treat you like a piece of meat.
What if I can't keep up?
You lag, you drag.
Carrie watches all this while hanging laundry and clearly isn't thrilled with Johnny being treated like a prison sled dog. That night, Jones sits alone, going through Johnny's wallet. He steals the little cash Johnny had and then finds a photo of Johnny's girlfriend. The movie then cuts to Carrie taking a bath and, oh, there's our boobs. Before cutting back to Jones staring at the photo and slowly getting up to go visit his cousin in the tub, if you catch my drift. Yikes. Meanwhile, Johnny's still chained up in bed, while this family somehow gets creepier every single scene. Back in the city, Johnny's girlfriend is starting to get worried and calls Marty, saying she hasn't heard from Johnny in 3 days.
3 days?
Marty, however, is far more concerned about the Jag, you know, the one that exploded. Once Marty realizes the car probably isn't making it back to the bank by Friday, he suddenly seems way less helpful. So Johnny's girlfriend hangs up and calls the police to report him missing. Back at the house, Carrie brings Johnny more food, but this time she also brings him the keys. She hands him over and tells Johnny not to forget his promise to take her with him. That night, under the cover of darkness, Johnny unlocks his chains, while Carrie secretly packs a suitcase to leave. Johnny waits around for a bit, but by the time Carrie gets there, he's already bailed. Bro.
Do not call me bro!
He waited like 3 minutes. The next morning, Johnny's sitting beside the road when he spots Michael Ironside driving towards him in the sheriff truck. Johnny runs out into the road and forces him to stop. Johnny immediately shows Ironside the house where he was being held and asks if he should call for backup. No. Then Ironside pulls a gun on him. Turns out Ironside is actually partners with Rance, and Rance apparently never told him about Johnny, which makes Ironside think Rance was trying to cut him out of the deal. Ironside explains he finds the fighters while Rance trains and houses them until the tournament. So yeah, the entire movie is about corrupt cops running an underground fight club in the woods. Ironside says he already has a fighter that's way better than Johnny anyway, and I guess the only way to settle it is with a match tomorrow. Johnny uses this agreement between the two as a distraction and kicks the gun away from Ironside and punches him in the face and takes off running. Ironside grabs the gun and starts firing after him, and thankfully his aim on Earth is just as accurate as it was on Mars in Total Recall. Johnny seems like he's actually escaped until out of nowhere, Ironside's truck comes launching in from the side of frame like a missile. Ironside swings the truck door open mid-drive and absolutely levels Johnny with it. Honestly, great stunt. Ironside jumps out screaming and starts kicking Johnny around, directing him back towards the truck. Later that night, Carrie is asleep when Rance storms into her room and tells her to get out of bed. She kneels down, and Rance pulls out a nightstick, telling her she betrayed the family before repeatedly beating her across the back with it.
Nice family.
Outside, Johnny's chained up again. When he spots Carrie walking by, he tries explaining that he did wait for her, leaving out the part where he only waited like 3 minutes. Carrie understandably wants nothing to do with him and storms away. The next day, Swayze and Jones lead Johnny out to a cow pen for a fight against Ironside's mystery fighter. They unchain Johnny while Ironside uncuffs this guy, and surprise, it's the surviving robber from the opening bar shootout. Rance and Ironside casually bet lunch on the fight while the two of the men start throwing hands. And honestly, the fight choreography here is kind of funny because neither guy blocks anything. They just stand there taking turns kicking and punching each other directly in the face. Eventually Johnny wins after a long back and forth brawl, and Ironside just casually walks over and shoots his own fighter for losing. Well, alright then. Guess this underground fight club is a pretty strict no losing policy.
No shit!
Rance and Ironside head off for lunch to talk about Johnny. Ironside is worried Johnny might try escaping again, says they need some insurance to keep him cooperative. He also casually mentions Johnny might actually be good enough to beat the warden's guy. So, wait, is this an underground prisoner fight club now too? Because that's apparently where this movie's going. Ironside then says he has a job for Rance's 2 sons. We cut to Swayze and Jones pulling up at somebody's house, and a little later they return, dragging a kidnapped woman out of the car and pulling the bag off her head, revealing it's Johnny's girlfriend. Naturally, Johnny is not thrilled about this and starts threatening the brothers, while Swayze literally carries Heather away like a sack of potatoes. Rance and Ironside walk over and finally explain the situation to Johnny. Either he wins the tournament for him, or
she's gonna get a bullet hole right between the eyes.
Ironside, forever a poet. Later that night, Johnny's still unnamed girlfriend is sitting in her room, while Rance and Ironside explain the rules to her too. They promise they won't hurt her as long as she cooperates and doesn't try escaping. Otherwise, they'll hurt Johnny real bad. Okay, sure. That's definitely a bluff. No way these lunatics are gonna damage their prize fighter before the tournament. Rance then assures her everything will be fine after the tournament is over, which honestly sounds even less believable.
That's a lie!
If Johnny loses, they're obviously dead. But even if he wins, there's no chance Ironside is just gonna let this guy walk away. He's already talking about future fights. After some completely random shots of turkeys wandering around for some reason, we cut back to Johnny's training, which mostly consists of him being chained to a truck and forced to run behind it while getting zapped with a cattle prod. Honestly, this movie should have been called Forced to Run, not Forced to Kill. This is already the second running sequence and Johnny still hasn't actually been forced to kill anyone. At the house, they chain Johnny back to the post while Carrie and Johnny's girlfriend hang laundry nearby. Johnny's girlfriend watches the brothers zapping him with the cattle prod and finally snaps, grabbing an axe and starts charging towards him. Carrie stops her, and we finally learn the girlfriend's name, Heather.
Yeah, you too. Oh, Heather!
And unfortunately, that's never a good sign in movies like this. The second a side character finally gets a name halfway through the runtime, it usually means they're about to die horribly. Later that night, Rance visits Johnny and tells him the tournament is tomorrow. Johnny asks the very obvious question that I already had. What guarantee do they actually have that he and Heather will be allowed to leave if he wins? Rance says he gave his word, Ah, yes, the word of a corrupt underground fight club kidnapper. Very reassuring.
I don't trust him.
Johnny then asks what happens if he loses, and Rance basically shrugs and says, "You better pray that doesn't happen." And then he just leaves. Back inside, Carrie and Heather share a brief bonding moment, and all I could think during this scene was, you two are completely alone right now. You could literally just leave. The next day we arrive at the big tournament location, and wow, this thing is huge. The fights are being held at some massive cattle ranch, packed with people and cars everywhere. There must be 1,000 people here. This isn't some secret underground fight club anymore. This is basically a county fair with punch kicking. The tournament finally starts and the fights begin. The brothers lead Johnny out to the arena, which is literally just a cattle pen. The warden talks with Ironside and explains his fighter has extra motivation to win. Every match the guy wins knocks a year off his prison sentence. Meanwhile, Ironside conveniently leaves out Johnny's motivation, which is win or both you and your girlfriend die. Slightly higher stakes there. We then get a montage of fights as the sun slowly goes down, and honestly, it's kinda boring. Every fighter looks the same, fights the same, and spends most of the time just standing there taking turns punching each other directly in the face. We're basically just supposed to assume Johnny keeps winning off screen. Eventually the montage ends, and Rance and Ironside check on Johnny before the finals. One of the brothers says Johnny's coughing up blood and might have a broken rib. Ironside crouches down for one last motivational speech, reminding Johnny that if he loses, both he and Heather die. Then we hear some thunder, and honestly, I got excited because maybe something visually interesting is finally about to happen. And yep, the next fights are all in the rain. Most of the crowd suddenly goes inside to watch the fights on TVs instead, which raises a lot of questions like, if everyone could just watch this thing on television, then how secret is this underground tournament really? Also, how are those fire barrels still burning in a downpour strong enough to soak everyone instantly? A few more matches happen before we finally get Johnny versus the Warden's undefeated champion in the finals. Ironside and Rance sit down with the Warden to discuss betting odds. The Warden proudly explains this guy has won the tournament 7 times in a row, undefeated. Ironside says Johnny's a rookie and they want 3-to-1 odds. The Warden confidently agrees, and Rance casually says they want to bet 50 grand. This is the most well-funded illegal cowpen fight club movie in history. Johnny and the champion enter the ring, and immediately there's one major problem. Both guys look identical in the rain. Wet hair, mud everywhere, same build, same clothes. Half the fight I generally wasn't sure which guy was Johnny. The two exchange kicks and punches back and forth while the movie keeps cutting between the ring and Ironside watching the fight on television indoors, like he's checking on the hockey scores. Eventually one fighter goes down, and judging by everyone's reaction, I guess Johnny lost? Well, that was anticlimactic. The Warden happily asks for his money, while Swayze and Jones drag Johnny back toward the holding area. Jones goes to leave and tells Swayze to chain Johnny up again. The second Swayze tries it, Johnny suddenly attacks him in the mud. They awkwardly wrestle around for a while, and then suddenly, Johnny escapes, completely off screen. Inside, and Rance walk up just in time to see Swayze brushing himself off, asking where Johnny went. Honestly, good question. How did he escape? That movie doesn't care. Ironside freaks out, saying they have to catch Johnny before he tells the police about the tournament and exposes the whole operation, which honestly would have probably happened immediately considering there was like 1,000 people here. The next morning, Ironside is back at Rance's house, calling another sheriff asking for help tracking down an escaped prisoner. Rance points out the obvious, saying Johnny will probably come back for Heather. Ironside says he'd be stupid to try. Meanwhile, Johnny's apparently sleeping under a tree somewhere? What? Seriously? This guy couldn't stay awake one night? Oh, is the little quaddy man sleepy? Johnny wakes up when he hears the cops search on horseback. He jumps down from a tree branch onto one deputy, knocking him off the horse. He one-punches the guy unconscious, steals his gun belt, randomly throws away the radio for some reason, and then jumps onto the horse. And then... Our our hero just starts shooting at the cops. Okay, sure. Johnny rides off while deputies fire after him. Eventually, he reaches a cliff overlooking a lake. He ditches the horse and jumps off the cliff into the water. And unlike the cliff jump and sacrifice, killer just casually jumps in after her. And that this one actually is a real drop. Johnny swims over to a conveniently abandoned speedboat because apparently this lake is just filled with free getaway vehicles. The cop calls Ironside while a helicopter joins the chase overhead. Johnny starts firing back and straight up kills one of the cops in the helicopter. The movie barely even reacts to it. Then the police boat joins the pursuit and Johnny kills another cop. Buddy, these aren't even corrupt cops from the Fight Club. These are just random deputies doing their jobs. That guy probably had kids at home.
That's actually murder.
Johnny reloads, keeps firing at the helicopter and police boat until they finally back off. He reaches shore, runs into the woods, takes off his green camo jacket for some reason, and hides while the helicopter searches for approximately 30 seconds before giving up entirely. Well, guess he vanished. Fantastic police work. Johnny runs into a campground beside the lake and immediately steals some guy's pickup truck with a camper on the back. The second I saw that camper attached to the truck, I thought, oh yeah, that thing is 100% exploding later. Back at the house, Heather is laying on her bed when Carrie bursts in the room, telling her they need to leave right now. Heather refuses because she thinks they'll hurt Johnny if she runs. Carrie tells her Johnny already escaped and they need to hurry before it's too late. Rance and Jones are already there. Rance drags Carrie away while Jones grabs Heather. At the sheriff's department, the owner of the stolen camper truck is reporting it to police and explaining which direction Johnny went. Ironside thanks him, jumps in his truck, and peels out. While driving, he radios Rance, saying his gut feeling was right and Johnny is coming back for Heather. He also says deputies are on their way and tells Rance to be ready. Meanwhile, Jones is getting way too comfortable around Heather, and Johnny seriously needs to hurry up. But when we cut to Johnny, he's casually sightseeing beside the road. Buddy, your girlfriend is literally being held hostage by a hillbilly Fight Club rapist. Maybe move a little faster here? Back at the house, Jones pulls his gun while Heather struggles against him. When she resists, he slaps her onto the bed and climbs on top of him. Meanwhile, outside, Rance tells Swayze to guard the front of the house. During all this, I kept expecting the movie to cut back to Johnny enjoying a water slide at some nearby amusement park. Outside, we suddenly hear a truck horn blaring. Swayze walks out and sees Johnny's stolen camper truck slowly rolling towards the house, horn honking non-stop before it rolls to a halt. Swayze cautiously approaches the truck thinking Johnny's inside. He slowly walks around it, then starts unloading bullets directly into the camper. Buddy, I don't think I would be firing at something with giant propane markings on the side. After blasting away, he swings the camper door open and, surprise, Johnny isn't there. He was apparently hiding underground like a gopher this whole time. Johnny pops up behind Swayze and shoots the propane tank. Swayze gets absolutely launched in a fantastic PM Entertainment explosion stunt. Inside the house, Jones hears the explosion and finally gets off Heather to investigate. He runs outside, finds his brother dead, and understandably takes this very personally. Johnny sneaks into the house where Rance is now holding Heather at gunpoint, threatening to blow her head off. Rance orders Johnny to drop his gun, and he does. Rance says they're all just gonna wait calmly for Ironside to arrive, but while backing up, Carrie suddenly smacks him with a stick, and Johnny and Heather take off running. They yell for Carrie to come with them, but Jones bursts in, knocks Carrie to the floor, and points his gun at Johnny. Heather notices Johnny still has another gun tucked in his waistband. She reaches for it, and Johnny yells,
Do it. Do it!
Just do it. So she does, and kills Jones. Well, Heather's got her first body now. Johnny and Heather run outside while Rance wakes back up and starts shooting at them. The two hide under a tiny wooden bridge like a couple of goats, and Rance, being the complete idiot he is, walks directly onto the bridge above them.
Clippity-clop, 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 went his hooves on the wooden bridge.
Who's that clip-clopping on my bridge?
And Johnny shoots them right through the underside of it, killing them instantly. Once they get back onto the road, police cars start arriving, and once again, Johnny immediately starts shooting at cops. And now Heather is too? What? She killed one psycho hillbilly 5 minutes ago and instantly transformed into Bonnie from Bonnie and Clyde. She's just fully on board murdering deputies now. As Ironside arrives, Johnny and Heather jump into Rance's car and speed away while Ironside loads shotgun blasts at him. Then the movie goes full PM entertainment, and Johnny starts driving like he's in Death Race 2000.
All right, and yes, sirree! A clean hit, a perfect hit, and no pain for the target.
Running over cops left and right while police cruisers chase them along winding dirt roads. After some great drifting and near misses, Johnny fires into one cruiser's windshield, causing an absolute glorious PM Entertainment mega crash. Ironside finally pulls alongside them and starts ramming their car. Johnny fires again, hitting Ironside in the shoulder and sending his truck flying off the road in another huge wreck. Johnny and Heather stop and watch the crash. Heather asks if Ironside is dead. Johnny says he doesn't know and walks over to check. And, of course, Ironside survives. He smashes the truck window and starts firing wildly, missing every shot because apparently getting thrown through explosions somehow makes your aim even worse. Johnny returns fire, hitting Ironside several more times, but the guy still keeps coming. So Johnny finally shoots the truck gas tank, and that's officially the end of Sheriff Wilson. Heather runs over and the two hug. And instead of fleeing the state because they are now, wanted for murdering multiple police officers, they go back and pick up Carrie. And the three of them drive off into the sunset together like this was some wholesome happy ending instead of an ending to a multi-cop homicide spree. And that's Forced to Kill. And yeah, this definitely isn't one of the stronger PM Entertainment movies. It has a couple awesome stunt sequences at the end, but outside that, this one's pretty rough. Michael Ironside is great as always and does the absolute best he can with the material he's given. This guy could probably make reading a grocery list entertaining, but the script here is kind of all over the place, so. First off, the title makes no sense. Johnny isn't forced to kill anyone. That's not even the kind of tournament that is. It should have been called Forced to Run, considering half the movie is just Johnny being dragged behind trucks or forced to sprint while getting cattle prodded. And this whole secret underground fight club setup is hilarious. There are thousands of people attending this thing. Cars everywhere, vendors, TV broadcasting the fights, betting tables. This thing is less underground and more county fair with assault charges. What exactly is stopping the guys from just selling tickets publicly? They're basically already doing that. And the fights themselves are also just kind of weak. Every fighter looks the same, fights the same, and uses the exact kind of kick, punch, repeat style. Then the rain starts during the finals, and somehow it makes it even harder to tell who's fighting who, because now everyone's covered in mud, with wet hair, wearing the same dark clothes. Half the final fight I generally couldn't tell which guy was Johnny. The movie never explains why Johnny's apparently this unstoppable martial arts god. He's just randomly invincible. The dude beats everyone effortlessly, while barely reacting to the fact his girlfriend's been kidnapped. Heather is in danger and Johnny still somehow finds times for sightseeing, naps under trees, and casual scenic detours. I was also wondering why Clint Howard was even in this movie. His entire role is basically show up, get kidnapped, explode, disappear. Then I remembered Rance is actually Clint Howard's real life father. Nepo baby Clint Howard strikes again. But honestly, even a low tier PM Entertainment movie is still more entertaining than most modern Hollywood garbage. Yes, I'm looking directly at you, Mandalorian and Grogu.
Hey, never touch the buttons.
I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next episode.
Hold up. Hey.
You know what, man? I hope you get your ass kicked.
I hope you get some breath mints, man. You ever brush your teeth?
Yeah, I brush my teeth. Son of a bitch.